Good morning and good evening. Welcome to Let's Talk on the Second Chance. My name is Philip Jones.
And I'm Tafaro Cook, two-time kidney transplant recipient and founder of Kidney Care Coaches, where we coach stage 3 to stage 5 people with kidney disease. Today we have a special guest on our show, Jonathan Taylor. Traylor, Hope with Jonathan, our man. What's up? We are talking about today. We are talking about exercise and nutrition, just coming from the standpoint of a person on dialysis. Jonathan was on dialysis, Phil's on dialysis, and I was on dialysis, and we were chatting backstage, talking about exercises and things like that. And so we wanted to talk about that today. Jonathan, since you're the guest, we want you to start off. What's your take on exercising and things while you're on dialysis?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show today. I really appreciate it, and you guys are doing incredible work with your podcast. So it's always a pleasure to be on your show. But my take is that my center was instructing me and talking to me about the importance of taking care of your heart when you're in kidney failure, and so I had already sort of began an exercise regimen before I went into kidney failure. I was, walking and stuff like that, but it was sort of too late for me because my kidneys had already been damaged from the type 2 diabetes and hypertension that was uncontrolled. So I had been walking for like 6 months, but I noticed I'd really slowed down with losing weight. And what that was the fluid was just, I'd lose just enough fluid, and then the fluid would just keep starting to build back up. And I never was dropping any weight. But after I went into kidney failure, they started talking to me about the importance of taking care of my heart. And so I went right back into, walking and staying as active as I could. And I'll be honest with you, it was tough on dialysis days when I was in center because I always felt so wiped out from being in the in center, dialysis. So on those days, I wasn't as active as I wanted to be. But on my off days, so I was a TTS patient. So like on Mondays, Wednesday, Friday, on those days off, I was definitely walking, going to the gym. I had more energy, and
Right.
so I was utilizing that energy, and try to take care of my cardiovascular system as best I could. And I know a lot of patients say that they're either too tired or too weak, but I had days like that too, but it becomes a mindset thing where you just got to get yourself up and get motivated because of the fact that if you just sit around and have a sedentary lifestyle where you're just sitting around all the time, like I said, your heart could start giving you problems, build up with fluid around your heart, congestive heart failure, even clogged arteries, heart disease. And that scared me, man, because I was already in kidney failure, right? So I wanted to be as active as possible. So that's my take, man. Is just, man, if you're on dialysis, try to, incorporate some form of exercise. I think walking is definitely,
Yeah.
definitely a great form of exercise.
Yes, for everybody out there, I want you to hear that from we're talking to a person who was on dialysis and now they had a transplant. And he's talking about his journey of exercising, keeping his heart healthy while
Yeah,
he was on dialysis. So
yeah,
you hear a lot of times people saying, like you said, Jonathan, that my energy is not there. But you still pulled through and walked and everything like that. Phil,
yeah.
what's your take on this, Phil, as far as exercising? You're on dialysis right now, and what kind of activities that you do right now to keep you strong and healthy?
The main thing that I do is really walking. Again, I say this often. The hardest thing to do is to start, right? So it's just start somewhere, whether you're walking, or walking in your neighborhood, walking in the backyard, where you got light weights or anything like that, right? You don't have to just start immediately in the gym.
Right.
I'm in that process of making that transition over to the gym. I'm actually more or less waiting. trying to get most of this COVID stuff to kind of calm down a
Yeah,
little bit.
I would suggest that even. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Before I get in there, so I'll stick to my walking, and I try to keep that as religious as possible in my life. I usually go like, to the store or something like that, grocery store around the corner or something like that, just to get some walking in. And, I'll even, it'll be nobody in the store. And I was in the store for 30 minutes for two things because I'm like, I'm just going to walk around the store just to add some walking,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I just like walk around with the basket down every
Yeah.
aisle, act like I'm looking at stuff like,
I used to
just to
do
get.
this. I used to do the same thing. I'd go to Walmart and walk down aisles with the cart, and the
That's a
cart would
great
give
place
me,
to go.
it
There,
would give me
constantly.
stability. Because
Yes.
as a dialysis, your legs sometimes be a
Ooh.
little weak, wobbly. I pushing that cart, would give me stability, and walking around the store. And hey, you're not outside in the element. You can walk around. Of course, you definitely want to mask up and all that stuff,
Right.
due to COVID. But yeah, man. I mean, that's a great way to get exercise.
Jonathan, let me ask you a question. What was the first thing as far as energy that you noticed once you got the transplant? Because there's a difference on your energy when you're, exercising on dialysis and then when you get the transplant. So what was the first thing that you could tell energy wise as soon as you got your transplant and you started doing, activity? Talk about that.
Well, I mean, like I was doing in-center dialysis, and then I actually migrated and switched over to home hemodialysis. So with home hemodialysis, I started having a little bit more energy. So I was able to like walk a little bit more and do exercise with like I started riding a mountain bike, things
Mm.
like that. But I still wasn't like exactly where I wanted to be. And then after I got the transplant, I realized, you know what? I could go longer. Like I could, so I was able to push like instead of doing like 2 to 3 miles, I could do like 5 miles,
Mm.
and stuff like that. And I wasn't near as winded. Like I wasn't near as like really strenuous. Like felt like I was really winded. I felt like it was more of a calming relaxation form of exercise. I wasn't able to get back into that type of exercise though until probably around the 3 or 4 month mark. I recovery for me was a little bit slower than maybe some others. I just had to kind of chill and relax. Plus, my team was kind of like because I was pushing them, saying, "Hey, I'd like to start riding my mountain bike," and they're like, "No, not yet. You need to wait a little while." And so, but yeah, man, like I noticed once I was able to get back into my routine, that man, I could go longer, I could go further. I didn't feel as winded, and then the recovery. So, like in my relaxation time, I still had energy left over to do things for the rest of my day. If we needed to go to the grocery store or we needed to do things, I could do all that stuff too. So now I'm at a point in 17 months that I'm like, I can go all day long. I mean, I can do whatever I need to do as like almost, like a normal functioning, human being. I'm living life with a kidney transplant. So, yeah, man, the strength after a kidney transplant is just incredible. So
That's
it's
awesome, man.
incredible.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Um, Phil, let me ask you this: since you are on dialysis, what's your nutrition like? Because that's part of the key too. Of exercise and nutrition go hand in hand. So, and I know we're all when we're on dialysis, it's a restriction. But what does your nutrition look like right now with you being on dialysis and trying to stay healthy for your upcoming transplant and things like that? So talk about that.
Well, before I get into my nutrition, I just kind of want to piggyback off something that Jonathan just mentioned, which is the recovery process, right? Doing this exercising and things like that for like people like myself, that are on their way to transplant and things of that nature is very important because it'll definitely shorten up your recovery time. Granted, I was 17 years old when I got my transplant, so my recovery probably was going to be a lot less time, anyways. But at that time, I was, playing football. I was in the weight room. I was always running. things of that nature. And so my body was in, top shape, for a 17-year-old, because that's what I did. That was my life, was high school sports, football during football season, track during track season. So I was year round working out. I was either on the track or on the field, one of the two, field football, So that stuff is important to get that in consistently, um, to on your way to transplant. Those are one of those pre-transplant uh, things that you need to take very seriously on top of the nutrition side, which we're going to get into. So make sure that again, like I said, start somewhere. Even if you have to be, laps in the backyard or walking in place, or go find some exercise videos to do, or buy a Peloton or something. Do something. That's the key to it, is do something, because what will happen is over time, as you're still doing, even little by little, it accumulates. You start, it starts attaching to your body. Your time starts to extend on what you can do workout wise. You may only be able to do 15, 20 minutes when you first start, but after a amount of time, if you stay consistent, you'll start seeing, okay, I can go 30 minutes now. I can go 45 minutes now. And so you gotta start, gradually. It's not gonna go from 1 to 100 in 3 seconds. You're going to have to take some time. So it's better to start now than trying to wait and things of that nature. But to get into your
Yeah.
question, nutrition, um, I've mentioned this recently. I'm changing my nutrition a lot. Right now I had to make that adjustment. I don't eat out like I used to. I do a whole lot more cooking. I've always loved to cook, even as a kid, 6, 7 years old, or baking, cooking, whatever, with my mom, barbecuing, my pops, my uncles, and stuff like that. So cooking is just, it's a family thing. It's in my blood. It's what we do. So it's not hard for me. So it's easy for me to make that change because I know how to do it. I think a lot of people have that issue with cooking because they don't know how. So they're like, "Oh, I don't know how to cook, so I don't want to do it." And you learn. You learn. You watch. It's a billion cooks on YouTube and websites and things of that nature. Um, One guy that I watch, and he literally breaks it down for you and will give you, let you know, how much you need to use of measurements and things of that nature, right? Is a guy on YouTube called Sam the Cooking Guy. He lives in San Diego, California, and I mean, he cooks a number of things. Even sometimes he'll switch it up for it to be a little healthier option for you. He'll even tell you, hey, there are substitutes that you can use. It's okay to use substitutes sometimes, and things of that nature. So definitely, with the nutrition, thing, like I said, I'm like either today or tomorrow, I'm gonna go throw some chicken breasts on the grill, and get, definitely getting this meal prep thing 100%. Before it was just cook stuff, put it in the refrigerator, have something to eat. Now I need to make sure that the portion sizes are right and correct for my, for the day, instead of, eating this big old meal in the morning and eating this little small thing and at lunch, and then eat another big meal. And then, I need to make it consistent, for what I'm trying to do. So taking nutrition seriously is very important. Is equally as important as the exercising that we just spoke on. So definitely, if you need to learn how to cook or you need instruction, like I said, check out Sam Cooking Guy, or even if you go there and you start seeing, they give you suggestions on people you may want to watch. Go through those people. See, you may find somebody else that you like, that's easier to follow when it comes to cooking, but it's something that uh, any post transplant patient should know how to do, is cook, because it'll save your life.
Jonathan, let me ask you something. When you were on dialysis and you were still exercising and things like that, what were some of the things that you watched out for, like when you were on dialysis, and the do's and the don'ts when it came to exercise and nutrition?
Nutrition wise, I tried to adhere right away to the renal diet. I gave up a lot of different foods, man, that I gave up like cold turkey. I was my story's a little bit different, as most of you know about my story. I had a near death experience. So when they started talking to me about making changes, like I was listening, because I had just experienced the worst experience of my life. And I was hit by a truck by kidney failure and kidney disease. Right. So when they started talking about what you got to start eating and the changes you got to start making, man, I was listening and I was taking notes. My wife was next to me. She was taking notes. So when we came home, man, we spent like 2 or 3 hours in the grocery store, literally looking at boxes, looking at phosphorus, things that we had never looked at really before or taken serious. I mean, I didn't even know what phosphorus was. I was like, phosphorus? What is phosphorus? I mean, what is it? What's potassium? I mean,
it's almost like a crash course. All of a sudden, you got to learn a whole different language.
Yeah, and it's a lifestyle.
Things like that.
Yeah, it becomes a lifestyle. You have to learn how to, check these things out. And what we realized quickly was a lot of the foods and stuff that were in boxes and in bags, like potato chips, foods that are in boxes, canned goods, like meat that's in a can. Now that I think about it, I'm like, how in the world can you eat meat out of a can? How in the world can it be safe for you to eat? You got to think about some of these things, like what is in it to keep it safe, right? But it's like we really spent a lot of time with researching and walking around a grocery store and looking at the list of foods from the dietitian. And what we found out was fresh was best. And so with vegetables and things like that, I started incorporating a lot of steamed vegetables. So I was buying those steamer bags. Yeah. And I would throw them in the microwave, and I was eating like vegetable medley. I got to be honest with you, Tafaro, my meals became on repeat. And what I mean by that was I was eating a lot of the same foods, incorporating and to stay safe. So I would eat, like, I'd get up in the morning and cook me some eggs sometimes, even though they say the yolks are not really good for you. They're, full of potassium.
Honestly, the yolks are pretty good for you. They got a lot of B12, vitamin D in them and everything. So,
well, they say that's the phosphorus part of the egg or something like that. Yeah. But me, I was like, you know what? If I'm going to sacrifice the egg, I'm going to eat the whole thing. So
right. Right. But this is what came out recently. I don't know if you guys know this. There's a thing called natural phosphorus. So the foods that have natural phosphorus in them, our bodies don't consume like you said, like the things that are in boxes. Those are the artificial phosphorus where our bodies take all 100% of. Like, so if you eat oatmeal has what they say phosphorus in it. And eggs do too. But it's a natural phosphorus, and your body doesn't take all that in opposed to. So
and that's why they recommend that you eat it. Because it doesn't take
and it's good protein, good albumin for you.
It's kind of like the same concept as natural sugars, for diabetics, because eating like fruits and things like that have but they're like natural sugars. So I mean, you still got to be conscious of it and not go overboard, but be mindful of it. But the thing is I, like I said, I ate a lot of the meals that were on repeat: grilled chicken, grilled pork chops. Things like that with the vegetable medley. Man, I started eating something that I thought I would never eat, and that was salads. I started eating salads, things like that. So, and like I said, a lot of these meals were on repeat. Like, and my family was so respectful of me. They would cook their meal, and then I would, and I come in the kitchen and I would cook mine. Right. I didn't make the whole family go on the renal diet because I'm the one in kidney failure. Right. So I, and I did my own thing, and everybody was cool with it. There was a few times though, and this is just funny. They would order a pizza, and I'd be like, "Oh, how you gonna play me like that? How you gonna do me like that? I mean, this is crazy. I can't have it." But that was like a joke because in my mind, I knew I couldn't touch that pizza. I was like, I'm not touching that pizza. Right. And they knew that, but I think it becomes a mindset to Farrell. I began to do a lot of research, and you can change people that say, "Hey, I'll never be able to follow the renal diet. I'll never be that guy to eat fresh vegetables. You're looking at a guy before kidney failure. I was saying the same stuff.
Right.
And I was able to do it. It's a mindset. You have to change your mindset and say, okay, I've got to make these changes and I've got to stick to it and be serious about it. And that's what helped me. That's what made me transplant ready, was adhering to the renal diet, like we talked about before, exercise and continuing to incorporate exercise, following the renal diet, staying engaged with my team and knowing my medications, and just trying to stay up on it. I got to a point, Tafaro, that my nephrologist was taking a look at me, and she told me, she said, I wouldn't even know you're a dialysis patient if you wouldn't tell me, because I was just looking so good and healthy.
That's
yeah.
good.
And not bragging on myself or
No,
tooting my
yeah,
own
but that
horn,
is a brag. Because
It's
you
a
was doing
good
the right
brag,
thing.
though.
Yeah, that's a great brag.
but
Phil, let's talk about this, Phil. Let me ask you.
Hold on one
Go
second,
ahead.
Mr. Cook, because we gotta have some conversation with you. You're not slick today, sir. We you getting in this conversation whether you want to or not. So we gonna take these last 10 minutes and talk to Mr. Cook. We can always come back to us. We're gonna be on every day. But you are the fitness guru of the group, man. You're the one that was on dialysis, on manual dialysis at that, and continue making a fitness studio strive and continue to help people, help yourself. I think it was a way to push yourself as well, as a fitness instructor on dialysis. What were some of the things that you did during that time that kept you in shape, working, and to be able to continually get better at the work, but at least stay fit and stay in a safe place, to where you were able to stay in control of your weight and things of that nature, and be ready for that transplant when it comes.
What was crazy about my situation was, when I first started doing dialysis, I was already a personal trainer. I was already acclimated to exercise and things like that. So it was kind of like almost like, I won't say a perfect storm, but it was almost, I was already eating right and things. It wasn't a hard switch. The only major switch I had to do was, okay, watch my phosphorus, watch my sodium, things like that, because I was already exercising and things like that already. Some of the things I had to do though was I couldn't go as hard as I wanted to on the workouts. I couldn't lift crazy because I could cause some other problems, especially when your phosphorus goes up high and you could have a bone problem or something like that. So I had to watch those things a little bit. But I ate pretty much the same. One thing I say I did though, I did a little bit more of when I was on dialysis because I didn't have a kidney working, was I actually took supplements. I took protein supplements and things like that because I didn't have a kidney. And I knew that once I had a kidney, I wasn't going to do those things because it could damage the kidney. But I knew at the time, look, I don't have any kidneys, so I'm just going to, take my supplements and things. But I think what kept me going, because more than anything, was my mindset. I had to stay healthy enough just to train people. You know what I'm saying? So that was a toll in itself. So when I did manual, I had my own fitness studio, and I would exercise. I would do my first manual dialysis at 4:00 in the morning. Get to my gym about 5:15 and open up and start training people. Come home every 4 hours and do manual. And then I got sick and I had to start doing hemo. I would set my clients up where I would do hemo on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, early in the morning. And as soon as I was done, I would be on my phone in hemo setting up what time my clients is coming. So I had to be real strict on hemo. What I mean by that is I couldn't put a whole lot of fluid on my body because it's painful when they do those long hard pulls. I was no good for that day. You know what I mean? I come in the gym and I had to sit down and be trying to train people, and then I had to look at some of our bills and all the stuff coming in just to run a business, and my vision to get blurred. I'll be like, man, this is crazy trying to do this for real. You guys know what I'm talking about when you do hemo. And sometimes your vision gets blurry, you feel dizzy.
Yep.
And I got 3 more clients coming in on every hour after hour. You know what I mean? So
Wow.
it was like that where I don't have, I just did hemo. My arm is bandaged up and it's a
Wow.
cold day and I got 3 clients every hour. So it was like that. And so what I did was I kept like an energy drink with me. I kept like a protein shake and stuff just to keep me going and things like that. I had to. But
Yeah.
I made it. I survived. My nutrition was, like I said, my nutrition was pretty good already, but I did eat more protein at the time. And I knew because I didn't have a kidney that I had to get my protein up. One problem we always have when we're on dialysis is low albumin. Why? I think is because, especially with hemo, they're taking a little bit of blood out of you because you can even look at your line and see that, some of the blood that they ran just didn't get back in your body. When they do the rinse, it just doesn't happen. So I was always hitting it hard with the EPO shots. We talked about that.
Right.
And then, it did also, eating a lot of protein. And what I had to do when I did protein shakes, though, I had to watch my phosphorus. My phosphorus would go up crazy if I wasn't taking binders, if I was just drinking a protein shake and stuff. But now, since I have a transplant, I haven't touched a protein shake. I watch all my protein as much as I take in. Matter of fact, I don't even do too much animal protein in the first place. My stuff is mostly plant-based now because of the health and things like that.
That's one thing that I don't miss is taking those renal binders. Oh my God.
They bind you up literally.
Oh man, yeah. You talk about constipation. That is the most terrible form of constipation ever. So
yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Traylor. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I was on Renvela and calcium acetate, so they had me on both of those.
Wow.
I took like 6 at a time because of my phosphorus. So
yeah, I had to take 6 to 8 at a time, man. And when they say bind, it can really bind. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Phil.
So, Mr. Cook, you mentioned not too long ago you made that transition from manual peritoneal dialysis to in-center hemodialysis. What type of restrictions did you have to follow when it came to your workout and your fistula?
Well, that's funny that you say that. So, when I got my fistula, I had got 12 surgeries in this arm from the fistula. Right. So they started at the wrist. We all know they started at the wrist. And I got like 3 there. They never worked. They thrilled for a day, then they would stop. Then I got like 4 or 5 right here, in the center of your arm where it creases in your arm. They never worked. And then I got like the last ones the guys got through here. So what was crazy about the fistula situation with me was once mine started working up here, the doctor said, he gave me this little squeeze ball. He was like, here's a squeeze ball. Do this. And I want, because it's going to, bring blood circulation and it's going to mature faster. And I looked at him, I was like, to myself, I was like, I got a whole gym of exercise equipment I got already. I said, why don't I just take this bicep, this thing and start doing bicep curls. I did those bicep curls and my arm matured in 3.5 weeks. The doctor, when I came back, the doctor then was like, oh, we think we can use your fistula. So in 4 weeks, they start using my fistula. Mind you, the majority of people, I'm just telling you because I did the work, not bragging, but I'm just telling you because I did the work. Absolutely. The majority of people it takes almost 2 to 3 months for the fistula to mature.
Yep.
Mine matured in 4 weeks and it was ready to go. And so another thing, which was good because of the exercise, I feel was I ran at 600 on the machine. So I would self-cannulate. I would just turn the machine up to it couldn't go no more and it would run and it never beat to anything. And my doctors always says because I had, good cardiovascular and I was, pretty much in good shape already. So that's what, happened with my fistula. It did clot off at one time twice, I think, and I got angioplasty and that was painful as all get out.
600, man. You had a super fistula for sure.
It was so loud, man. Even at nighttime, it would keep me up. This thing be like, I could hear it
Wow,
all night long, man. It was crazy, man.
that
I
is
heard
incredible.
that. But,
Yeah. How was your thrill? Like, could you feel that where at the placement or where that was
yeah,
at?
you could feel it. It was right here, so you could feel it big time, man. You could actually see it. It'd be like, mm, mm. And like,
Yeah.
I would like, girls would ask me about my arm. They'd be like, "What is that thing?" And I take their arm and put it on. They'd be like, "What is that?" Ugh. And I'll be like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would gross them out and shit,
Yeah.
but, because they were like, "What is that thing?" And I was like, "Oh, it's my fistula."
So
I would tell them about it.
yeah, this is a true story. Like when I got my fistula and it started finally maturing, one night I was laying in my bed and I had my arm up on my pillow, and all of a sudden I could hear this whoosh, whoosh, whoosh sound. And I like, oh God, what's wrong with me now? Like, what is going on? I thought something else was wrong with me. And then it dawned on me. I was like looking at my arm and I was like, oh, that's the fistula, making that sound. So it like actually spooked me out. But yeah,
Yeah, the sound
um,
is called the thrill. That's what
the
they want.
thrill,
The thrill.
right?
Yeah. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I really didn't. It was crazy is that I didn't even know what a fistula was until probably like 2 years after my transplant. Right now, mind
Mm.
you, been sick literally 90% of my life, and had never knew what a fistula was. The first time I came uh face to face with a fistula was in Pittsburgh, 2008 at the transplant games. Uh, During the basketball tournament, one of the younger guys on one of the on the all men's team had a fistula in his arm, and I'm like, when you a person like me and have never seen something like that,
Yeah.
that's something that's gonna trip you out. And low key, like that was probably the worst defense I've ever played in my life. Like when it came to basketball, I was more of a defensive person. Didn't care about really scoring. I was more, containment stuff like that, right? Man, I'm like, bruh, I'm gonna stay about 6 steps back from you because I don't know what that is, and I don't know if it's contagious. So I'm, I'm like, you can have all the shooting room you want, young man. Have fun with it. Take every shot you can possibly get because you ain't got to worry about me. And
Some of them do look weird. Okay, they like
man,
when I first started doing peritoneal, I never wanted to go on hemo because I was like, I don't want nothing like that in my arm. I was like,
yeah,
no, man, that thing
yeah,
was crazy.
yeah. I seen some people that look like a snake, like
Yes,
going up their arm
yes,
all the way
yes,
up, and
yes.
down.
I
some
even know
people
some
got more
girls
than
that got
one.
theirs removed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I still have mine right here on my lower left wrist, but
I
I
still
don't
got
know.
mine.
I'm not sure if I'll ever go in and have it removed.
Is yours still thrilling,
Yeah,
Jonathan? See,
yep,
mine stopped eventually.
yep. It still thrills, and I'm putting my hand on it right now, and it's still buzzing.
My
So
doctors
yeah,
were quite happy when mine stopped. They were really, really happy because
yeah,
they're like, it takes less pressure off your heart. But they were really happy that it stopped.
How
yeah.
long did
I
it take for yours to stop? Because I know Jonathan, you had like what, a year and a half almost.
Yeah, next month will be a year and a half transplant.
I want to say, man, when I think about it now, because I went to the hospital that day, I think it was about like probably 3 or 4 years in, and that's when it eventually it stopped and it scared me. I thought something was wrong, so I went to the hospital. I went to the emergency room,
Yeah,
and then I was like, call my doctors, and so they called my doctors, and my doctors stalled them all out, like, no, it's fine. We're glad that because I didn't know. I was like, man, something wrong. When you don't know,
yeah.
you don't know. So I didn't
Right,
know.
right.
I
But you made the right choice. I mean, because if it was something, some people think, they see signs and they don't think, okay, let me go make sure this is okay. And like, oh, whatever, keep going, and you had that's how I was too a lot until COVID. But,
I know
I
I
was
know
in the
some people
hospital
that
for
still have
everything.
theirs.
You said
Like
what?
I know some people that still have theirs years later, and they didn't never get them removed. But I
A
don't
lot
know,
of people
man.
do that.
Do they still work, Jonathan? There still works?
That I have never asked them, but they said they still have it. So
I mean,
I
I'm
don't know.
15 years out and I still have mine.
Yeah,
I don't use it. I mean,
yeah. I don't know. I thought about going in and talking to the cardio. He's a vascular surgeon,
right.
and he's a good one, man. I mean, this guy was incredible, but one of the most calmest doctors I'd ever talked to. I think he's probably listens to like Beethoven when he does these type of surgeries. But
Oh, he's
I'm
one of
serious, man.
those.
Just really calm and talks really, real medical terminology. He's one of those kind of doctors, very highly intelligent,
Right.
but able to break it down in layman's terms too. But he was kind of like, no, you'll keep it. So I was like, okay, unless something goes wrong or you feel bad with it or it starts hurting you, then he said, more than likely you're just going to keep it. So I don't have a problem with it. And if anybody looks at it and says something, if anything, it's a conversation starter to get me to
Yeah.
talking to them
Yeah.
about kidney disease and what happened with me and share my story. And you never know where that's going to lead, man. You never know. Somebody may start to decide to start taking care of themselves, or maybe they'll consider being a donor. You just never know where these conversations are going to go. So you just never know.
True.
So.
True.
So, hey man, that was a great conversation. We definitely got to
Yes.
come back to and do some more conversating about these specific topics. Um, you know, some of this stuff will be brought up as a part of the announcement that we're getting ready to make. You know me, I'm not necessarily the show off is not the word, but I like to make things bigger, a little bit bigger than what they kind of probably are. So I always got to put something to it. So I'm gonna play this real quick, and then we'll talk about this for a quick second, and then jump off here. So another conference is coming up. We just did the one we did in November, and that was I think that was a big success, especially for our first one collaborating together. To put something on like that. So we want to continue to be informative and educational in this area, not just kidney transplant, but just in transplant in general, health, medicine, in a way from a patient's perspective. Again, anything that we ever put out, and this, Jonathan as well, is not to say that we are medical professionals, but it's just to give advice. So anything you hear from us, challenge it. I'd be a complete, lack of better words, idiot to tell you not to challenge it or go talk to your physician, because the thing is that we may be giving you this advice and information, but your physicians and yourself are the ones who know your body better than we do. So we can give you this information, doesn't mean that it's going to 100% affect you. It's just effective in general. So always make sure that you consult with your primary physician about certain things you may hear, whether it's our channel, Hope with Jonathan,
Absolutely.
anybody like that either we work separately together or anything. So definitely make that right decision and talk to your physicians, your nutritionists, your
Sure.
social work, things like that we speak on. So this conference is a dialysis commercial. It's going to be strictly about the dialysis world. We're going to touch on in center as well as home dialysis. So that's in center hemo, home hemo, in center peritoneal dialysis, manual dialysis, peritoneal dialysis. We're going to have a number of other people as well. Most of the stuff will be coming from patients. We have probably, I think, one or two people that have not had an actual transplant but are in the transplant world in nephrology. We do have nephrologists coming on, but most of us that are presenting are patients. Myself, Mr. Cook, Mr. Traylor will be all be doing a presentation of the type of dialysis that we did. Um, well, I'm doing, but they did, and so it's going to be a very impactful conference, and so I'm let you two gentlemen go ahead and say what you like to say about the conference.
You want me to go first, Tafaro?
Yep.
Okay. Phil and Tafaro, was a pleasure to do the last conference. I thought it was amazing, very impactful, lots of information. So I look forward to doing this one as a dialysis patient. I also did home dialysis as well, so hemo. And I look forward to being involved and engaged with this conference. I hope you guys out there are excited about this. We got some great panelists coming on. I'm not going to mention any names yet, but you'll be really surprised at some of the guests that we're going to have on this. And it's going to be an incredible conference, great information shared, and just can't wait for it.
That's awesome, man. I'm looking forward to this too. I think our first one was wonderful, and I like I love working with Phil and Jonathan. Them guys bring a lot of knowledge and a lot of good energy to the table, which is awesome. And I hope I can just pull my weight as well. But I'm definitely looking forward to this. Again, I'll echo what Jonathan said. We have a great panel. We have a lot of people that are interested in this, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually, I think the panel may be the part that I'm very interested in, because of the people that we currently have there. And Mr. Lee, appreciate you stopping by, sir. Thank you. Mark Lee actually watched the show yesterday. Alex Rosa that we just had on the show on Sunday was a guest on this show last night with a fitness coach as well as a pharmacist. I can't remember their names offhand, but it was very informative, very interesting conversation that they had yesterday. I say for most of it, and I know we had me and Mr. Cook had a meeting last night, and I had to jump off a little earlier. But Mr. Lee, keep doing what you're doing. You can find Mr. Lee on LinkedIn for sure. That's where his show was. Um, Please let us know if you're on YouTube as well. We appreciate you stopping by. Hope you can stop by, for future shows as well as the conference that we have coming up. Again, we kind of, the thought process of this conference happened months ago. We kind of planned thought wise, kind of what we're going to do at the same time as the last conference. And so, over the past weeks, we've been, meeting as well as confirming people to be in this conference with us to make it the best that it can be. So right. Chad Austin was the fitness coach, and DeLon Canterbury was the pharmacist. And so they were both also great additions to Alex Rosa on their show yesterday. So definitely, check him out if you get the chance on LinkedIn for sure. It says that he has a YouTube channel. I don't know if that YouTube channel is a channel or just his profile, but definitely take a look at it and stop by and see what he's doing. Great guy. So that I'm not going to talk you guys ears off. We try to keep this short, but we had a lot of good information today. Mr. Traylor, I appreciate you joining us today to make
Always a
this
pleasure.
announcement as well
Always a
as the
pleasure.
show. Very, very informative person, and here's the thing: the reason why I'm very impressed with Mr. Traylor, especially from day one that I met him, is that a lot of his story is that he's only a year and a half out, but he's so knowledgeable about something that me and Mr. Cook have been going through for 20 plus years, and he's on almost on the same level as we are. But that's called dedication. Like when you care about your life, you care about your family, you want to live to be able to see them grow up and take care of them and things of that nature. So Mr. Traylor, man, I appreciate you joining us on this conference and past and future collaborations.
Always a pleasure, Phil, and I appreciate you, man. You're gonna make me blush, man. Keep giving me compliments. Like you said, man, it's dedication. I started doing my research early, right away. Prior to that, I didn't have any kidney disease education. As there's a lack of it, and so I decided, hey, we gotta start putting it out there in any way that we can. And so that's what we're doing with Hope with Jonathan. We're just trying to spread awareness in any form that we can, man. Because if I'd have had more education, I may have been able to avert a near death experience. And so I don't want to see anybody go through what I went through. I want people to avert that and be able to stay away from that. So that's why I share my story. And man, I just appreciate the opportunity to interact with you guys and do what we're doing. I think it's very impactful.
Awesome.
Well, we appreciate you. Well, we're gonna go ahead and jump off of here. We again, Mr. Cook, Mr. Traylor, thanks for joining. Being on uh, again, and we will be back tomorrow morning. More than likely, same time. We try to keep it as consistent in the time range as possible. So, 10 and 11 Pacific time, 12:1 Eastern time. So, or I'm sorry, 1 or 2 Eastern time, 12:1 Central. So definitely come back, stop by, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so just in case if we decide to just pop up, just to pop up on live, you know that we're on and can join us and join the conversation. So thank you all for watching today, for watching in the future, whether that's today, tomorrow, next week, next year. We appreciate your love and your support. Have a great, great day.